Hi there! How are you? I am here again to help you in understanding your English lessons in this new normal in education. Here is another episode of... Now let's play a little guessing game. I want you to look back on your younger years when you're still fond of reading or listening to your favorite bedtime stories. All you have to do is guess the title of the story that I'm describing. Shall we begin? A wicked queen orders the murder of her innocent stepdaughter out of jealousy. Upon knowing that she is still alive, she disguised herself and brought a poisonous apple to her. What story is this? It is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This is a story about a girl with a wicked stepmother and two jealous stepsisters. With the help of her fairy godmother, her reality was transformed into a dream come true. What story is this? It is Cinderella. This is a story between a young prince and a girl with a long blonde hair that conquered all of the witch's evil intentions. What story is this? It is the story of Rapunzel. A story about siblings who were abandoned in a forest where they fall into the hands of a cannibalistic witch who lives in a house made of gingerbread. What story is this? It is the story of Hansel and Gretel. There was a princess who was cursed to die on her 16th birthday. Thanks to her guardian fairies that she only fell into a deep sleep that can be ended with a kiss from her betrothed prince. What story is this? It is the story of Sleeping Beauty. Wow, that was great! Sure, it was fun to reminisce our childhood memories along with those stories. Which was your favorite? Why do you like it? A short story is a fully developed story which is shorter than a novel. It should be read in one sitting, and it usually focuses on one plot, one main character, and one central theme. Before we go on, I would like to present the objectives of this lesson. 1. Identify the elements of a short story. 2. Analyze the story using a story map. How do you think can authors write such remarkable short stories? Maybe they're able to master combining elements that go into every good short story. What are these elements? The first element is setting. It is the time and location that the story takes place. It could be a place, referring to a geographical location. Time, when is the story taking place? Historical period or time of the day or year. Weather conditions. Is it rainy, sunny, stormy? Social conditions, like what is the daily life of the characters? Does the story contain local color? Or mood or atmosphere, what feeling is created at the beginning of the story? Is it bright, cheerful, or dark? Let's use the Cinderella story as an example. The setting of this story took place a long time ago in a land ruled by a king and a queen. The next element is character. It refers to a person or sometimes even an animal who takes part in the action of a short story or a piece of literary work. There are several types of character. One is according to principality. and that is protagonist and antagonist. Protagonist is the main character in the story or sometimes the hero or heroine in a literary work, while the antagonist is the character that goes against the protagonist. The next one is according to development. We have the dynamic and static. Dynamic characters exhibits noticeable development, while static exhibits no changes and development. Characterization. This is a method used by an author to reveal the personality of the characters. The characters are revealed according to actions of the character, thoughts of the character, descriptions of the character, descriptions of other characters, and descriptions of the author. The characters in the Cinderella story are Cinderella, stepsisters, stepmother, fairy godmother, and the prince. The next element is plot. It is the sequence of events in a story. And the plot has 5 parts. The first one is exposition. It is the beginning of the story where the characters and setting is revealed. The next one is the rising action. This is where the events in the story become complicated and the conflict is revealed. Conflict is any form of struggle that the main character faces. We have 2 types of conflict. We have the internal and external. For the internal, it is man versus self. It is a struggle within oneself, like a person must make some decision, overcome pain, quiet their temper, or resist an urge. For the external, we have man versus man. It is where one character has a problem with one or more or other characters. Man versus society. It is where a character has a conflict or problem with some element of the society like the school, the law, or the accepted way of doing things. And lastly, man versus nature. It is where a character has a problem with some natural happening. The next part of the plot is climax. This is the highest point of interest and the turning point of the story. Next, falling action. The events and the complication start to resolve themselves. And lastly, we have resolution. It is the final outcome or ending of the story. This is the Freytag's pyramid. This is usually used to illustrate the parts of the plot of a particular story. With the use of the Freytag's pyramid, let us see the plot of the Cinderella story. The exposition: Cinderella lives with her stepsisters and their mother. They make her wear rags and do all the hard work. For the rising action, an invitation was sent to all the young maidens for a ball, but Cinderella was not allowed to come. With the help of her fairy godmother, dressed in a beautiful gown and glass slippers, she rushed to the ball. When the clock struck 12 midnight, she ran away, leaving one of her glass slippers. For the climax, the prince went to find the owner of the shoes and reached Cinderella's house. Cinderella held her breath as Prince Charming gently slipped the shoe onto her foot. The falling action is Prince Charming made Cinderella her bride and lived in the castle. And the resolution: Cinderella and the prince lived happily ever after. Another element of a short story is point of view. It is the angle from which the story is told. First type of point of view is first person. The story is told by the protagonist or one of the characters who interacts closely with the protagonist or other characters. The next one is stream of consciousness. The story is told so that the reader feels as if they are inside the head of one character and knows all their thoughts and reactions. And lastly, the third person omniscient. The narrator tells the story from an all-knowing point of view. He can move from character to character, event to event, having free access to the thoughts, feelings, and motivations of his characters. The point of view of the Cinderella story is third person omniscient, so meaning there is a narrator telling the story. And for the last element, we have the theme. It is the controlling idea or the central insight. It is the underlying meaning or main idea that the author is trying to convey. It may be the author's thoughts about a topic or view of nature. One of the themes of the Cinderella story is, you should make the best of any situation and things will work in the end. Now it's time to do it on your own. I want you to read the story by Kate Chopin, which has the title The Story of an Hour. Analyze it and complete the story map. Here is the story. You may pause or play back if you have to. Complete the story map with information from the text that you've read. Now, let's check if we have the same answer. Setting: in a single hour in an American home in the 19th century. For the characters, we have Mrs. Louise Mallard, Mr. Brentley Mallard, Josephine, Richards, and the doctors. For the parts of the plot, we have exposition. Mrs. Mallard had a heart ailment, and his husband Brentley Mallard is believed to be killed in a train accident. Rising action, Josephine broke the news of Brentley Mallard's death. Climax, Mrs. Mallard cried and went to her room and saw all the signs of new life coming. For the falling action, she was delighted about the freedom. She went down and joined Josephine and Richards when somebody opened the door. Resolution: surprised and disappointed, Mrs. Mallard died of heart attack. Conflict: man versus self and man versus society. Point of view: it's third person omniscient. The story has the themes freedom, time, and identity. What do you think of the story that we had today? Were you able to identify its elements? I hope that you have gained new learnings in this episode. I hope to see you all again here in